Folks, welcome back for another monthly Q&A with me and Tim here. We're going a little bit early this month. I know it's not October yet. I figured that one out on myself. But I have a very, very busy October coming up. Uh, so we figured we'd have our monthly Q&A as well as talk about a few things that are coming up over the course of the next few days, weeks, months.
So why don't we start out with what do you have going on? Where in the world is Jonah?
Well, Jonah right now is in Massachusetts, still home. But in a couple days, it's Portland, come home, go to Philly, come home, stick around for
I
a
see
little
the
bit.
name of the event. So
Oh,
go to Portland for
sector qualifiers in Portland, come home, return, then go to Philadelphia for sector qualifiers, which will be the second largest limited event that we have. The other one will be in Bilbao that same weekend.
super impressive.
Then I get a whole week off before I'm in Germany for about a week and a half. I'm going to be going to Essenspiel for a few days. Mostly going to be just meeting folks, chatting with folks, interacting with people.
And doing a meetup. Don't forget your
Doing
meetup.
a meetup or two or three. And then after that, I'll travel down to Munich for the sector qualifiers there. We'll be doing yet another meetup there. Then I come home and then I immediately leave to go to a friend's wedding.
So you are going to be super, super busy with travel. And it's worth saying where are you, so you're we should just cut to the chase and say, and you're going to do a meetup at all the places you're
Yep,
going,
meetups at all the places.
except your friend's wedding.
That is probably true. Although I know there will be some number of Star Wars judges there.
Well, foil them out. And I will be joining you for the meetup in Portland because I'm the world's laziest man, but even I can make it to a meetup in my hometown.
Yeah, I think that that's reasonable.
And then I will try, and then October 17th in San Diego is TwitchCon, and I will do some kind of meetup at TwitchCon, probably in the hotel next door, but details TBD.
Fantastic. Well, we already got questions coming in from chat. So Tennessee Feet Monk
You know what?
asks,
Who was the first on our stream chat? So, what does he have to say this time?
is there any insight as to why FFG late scheduled SQs on top of weekends they scheduled planetary qualifiers? So there's a lot of logistics that go into scheduling events, and the team that is working on the large event schedule, sectors and regionals, galactics, does not work directly with planetary qualifiers. Now, planetary qualifiers are also going to be happening every weekend for a 2.5 month stretch. I think the first ones were August 2nd. The last one is November 9th, is one that I've heard of. And so not scheduling any major events during that time seems a little bit suboptimal. They are ramping up their processes so that they're able to get that information out sooner so it doesn't feel like it's late. But they want to make sure that these things are set in stone and locked in, which is why it seems like they're coming out after planetary qualifiers and being scheduled on top of them, but it is more than likely that the sectors are scheduled first and the planetary qualifiers are scheduled later. Stores also say these are the weekends I have available. Tim, how many TCGs are there that are trying to schedule events at game stores on any given weekend these days?
Oh my gosh, let's see. I mean, let's Magic. So Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, right?
Yep.
One Piece, One Piece Rift Bound events are coming. God,
Lorcana, Flesh and Blood.
Lord Flesh and Blood. Hey, Star Wars Unlimited. That's another one. You know what? I'm missing a bunch, but the one of the basic problems we have is there is not enough seating capacity, and there are not enough weekends for all of the events in stores, which I think is kind of awesome, actually. Like we you know what? Yeah, it was we when we first launched organized play for trading card games. It was a crazy notion to do events in stores, and there was a big question of would there be enough content for stores to justify having play space. Well, there's enough content.
Yeah, but stores do mean stores will be given a slew of dates that they can pick from. They'll pick a date, and then it might happen that there is a planetary or another event, another sector qualifier, a regional championship that is scheduled relatively close by within a couple hours. And it looks like closed captioning is broken again.
Somebody had a Gundam,
Yeah,
so
but
Tennessee Monk did it. But yes,
really, it's
absolutely.
dates are limited. Dates that convention centers or hotel ballrooms, they're not as limited. Uh,
But
but
in summary, it's really hard to schedule these things. Hey, Jonah, when we were talking with folks at FFG, I learned a little bit about how local retailers go about scheduling or adding events. And it's probably worth you talking about that for just a second.
talking about spotlights or store
Yeah,
showdowns and PQs.
showdowns.
Yeah.
Yeah. If
Uh,
I or let me set it up for you. If I'm a local retailer and I want to run one of these events, how do I get one?
so store showdowns,
I,
you contact your retailer. There are kits that you can purchase through your retailer
wait, distributor, the retail
distributor.
person,
Sorry, yeah, distributor. Um,
and the distributor in North America um, is either you
Either
contact
Asmodee or
direct.
Southern Hobby, but strongly recommend going to Asmodee directly if you can, because rather than going through just a little bit of a chain, because sometimes some things can get lost through the game of telephone.
and and it is not on the it's not on the website, on the usual order website. You can't order the kit there. You've got to send an email, pick up the phone, ask them directly. Okay, keep
Yes.
going.
Um, and then planetary qualifiers, that is dependent on each region. It is a process that is handled by the regional branches of Asmodee and their distribution partners. And so there is no set process. I know that different regions have some just say, hey, let us know if you want to run one, and we'll make a decision based on information we already have. Others will have a survey with a dozen or 2 dozen questions, and they build up information from
But
there.
either way, no matter where you are, what you should do is, if you're a retailer watching this, or more likely if you're a judge who really wants these things to happen in your area, you should encourage your local retailer to contact their distributor rep and let them know that not only, because the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? So you should ask ask and make sure that they understand that this isn't just a secondary thing, that it's something you really want to do.
Yeah. Uh, but let's tackle some of these other questions before we get to our topics.
And
Um,
we're going to have to go fast, aren't we?
you do say that you want to get out of here in 45 minutes, which is a
Not
challenge.
impossible. No, my wife's got to pick up my daughter. So yeah, I've got more time.
Fantastic. Also, it looks like captions just refuse to work today. Every single time I toggle them off and on, they just stop again. So we're going to leave uh, the captions as they are rather than me constantly clicking that button. Sorry for those technical difficulties. But Headkin asks, any idea if the official database additional rulings will line up with the clarifications on the Cascade Games website, which we've received directly from Fantasy Flight Games? It will happen in time. It is on my list to nudge them about. However, I'm not certain. There are a lot of things that need to see systemic improvements. That is one of them. Policy is one of them. There's a lot of questions about the comprehensive rules, and I'd rather get the clarifications off of the clarifications and into the comprehensive rules, so we don't have to check those additional rulings as frequently. And getting those a little bit more organized and triaging those is part of what I do. So it'll be a while. It's on the list, but it is not a super high priority for me to push on. Cascade 2244 says, would be really nice to have sector qualifier and regional championship dates a month or two sooner. I agree. FFG agrees. The process isn't they pick a date and then it happens. It's much more in depth than that. It's they pick a date, they go to their partner. The partner says, I'm available that date, I'm not available that date. What cities do we want to do? What venue in that city? Are they available then? Is the price reasonable? Okay, that's not working. Let's pick another date. Once they get all those details figured out, they need to go through an approvals process with their people, going through the entire chain of command. If it gets bounced back, they go through it again. The way it started was laying the track down as they are running through these events.
But they're getting ahead now.
We had a little bit more lead time before this wave. I'm anticipating we're going to have a little bit more lead time before the next, and I think that lead time is going to continue to build until we're a little bit more, a little bit smoother. Tennessee Feet Monk asks, at what judge count would you consider adding regions to the US and EU? So regions are an interesting and valuable concept for creating specific communities, and I think regions were very valuable in older judge programs where there was less of an online community, and there was more of a branching structure of authority with people who having regional leaders and then like lieutenants and captains and having a full structure. That was very valuable. However, I'm not certain what value regions provide currently other than some degree of tribalism. There is certainly some amount of community, but I think that digital communities, online communities, can form on their own, and letting communities create themselves, I think, is going to be more valuable in the long term than me saying, okay, everybody in New England, you're friends now.
Well, and excuse me, and there's all kinds of complexities to it. But hey, I want to answer the question next of food in Portland. Okay.
Oh boy.
I am out. I am on the road so much. Plus, it's way easier to go out to dinner when you're in your 20s and 30s than when you're a little bit older. So what I'm going to tell you is there's food carts everywhere in Portland. And the quality is dramatic. It varies dramatically. What I would do though is if you like ice cream, I know this is going to reveal what I have. I have kids, right? So Salt and Straw they have several locations throughout Portland, and it's handmade ice cream that is, that is just amazing. Super non-traditional flavors. A couple days ago, I had the blue cheese ice cream, while my daughter had the triple brownie chocolate. So
I think she has better taste than you, but
they have really funky. They're really unusual. Get a taste first, but take the taster spoon first for sure. And I had it in the waffle cone that is a pumpkin flavored waffle cone, which the flavors just worked really well together. I was super surprised. Blue Star Donuts is also fantastic. Everybody knows about Voodoo Donuts. They've got a lot of hype. Voodoo is good and it's super funky, but you can get a vampire donut with a little stake through its heart. There's lots of fun stuff at Voodoo Donuts, but Blue Star I think is just a better donut in my opinion. And then if you want to spend not a huge amount of money, but a little bit more, Papa Haydn is it's a restaurant. You know, the food's good. It's really good, but the desserts are absolutely fantastic. And there's a location on Milwaukee in Southeast Portland, and there's another location in Northwest, and the Northwest location's closer to the venue, and the desserts are unbelievable. Like, and so we're, classic cheesecakes and 7-layer chocolate, 7-layer German chocolate cake. It is fantastic.
Wonderful. I'm
So
probably
those,
going to go to something near the venue.
uh,
That
so not so good, not so good.
and the other options are near Powell's because that's where I'm going to be spending my time.
And
Uh,
for those of you who have not gone to Powell's, Powell's is 3 stories, a 3 stories tall, a full city block of a mix of used and new books, and a coffee shop where you can read the books and decide if you want to buy them. Powell's is Powell's is absolutely fantastic. Everybody should go to Powell's.
yes,
Like
and I'll
it,
be going for most of Monday after the sectors.
there you go.
Uh,
Yes.
all right, a couple more questions from the chat. Tennessee Feet Monk on the regions topic says, I said that I communicate better with small groups. It was more from Cascade to spread information without speaking to everyone and having 1,000 people responding. So I think that, again, having digital platforms and online platforms allows for a lot more direct communication. I think that I've seen more direct communication from this program to pat myself on the back than I have in other judge programs, particularly official communication, and it is direct and to open and accessible to everyone. However, to help me from being overwhelmed with that, that is part of the expansion project for us. Having more people who are able to talk on that level is part of the goal of expanding our team. And Tim would like to add something.
Um, one uh, one more thing. If you are, how we have this concept of food deserts where there's not enough food, right? There are places that are liquor deserts, right? So, for instance, in Utah, you just can't get most forms of hard alcohol. The liquor store in Portland, that is in the Hillsdale neighborhood, right across the street from Ida B. Wells High School, because it's important to put your liquor stores next to a high school, but has an amazing selection. Amazing. It has a very solid selection of scotches. So I recommend that as well. So while you're in Portland, get your bottle of scotch, bring it back to Utah.
Back to judge program things.
I think it's actually technically illegal to bring whiskey from out of state into state. Certainly, it's illegal to bring whiskey out of state and sell it to somebody in state in Utah. But hey, your mileage will differ. Okay, what else we got, Jonah?
Geek Cave Official asks, will there be a meetup in Bilbao? Currently, we don't have one scheduled. I'm not going to be there. Tim isn't going to be scheduled to be there. I don't anticipate that there will be an official meetup there. However, I encourage you all to get together on some night and have that meetup yourselves. It just won't have promos available.
And we totally deserve some credit. Now we have actually accomplished 0 of the things on our schedule, so our agenda has not happened yet. But we have answered some of your questions.
Yes.
Right? Not 0.5. That's not fair.
And then this is going to be a bit broader of a philosophical question, coming again from Tennessee Feet Monk. On a scale of 1 to 10, where's the judge program now versus where you thought it would be after the first set of October planetary qualifiers? So effectively a year ago.
Oh, that's a great question. You want? I want to take this one if you don't mind.
I want to hear your answer, then I'll give my answer, and we'll see if we.
I think that's fair. Okay. I love how many people. So the judge program, if we measure it by number of participants, is far healthier. It's bigger, healthier than. Sorry, that's the pick up my daughter alarm going on. So that part is going great. I'm really happy with our content. Have we talked about our graphic? We've got a graphics person.
Yeah. We haven't
I mean, I know we
officially
talked about their.
announced.
Okay, well, at some point in this, we'll say we've announced it, but I'm super. I am completely dissatisfied with what the website looks like, and but luckily we've got that underway. I think we're on schedule in terms of translation, and Jonah can talk about that later. So those things, and probably the most important piece is event quality. And I think event quality is good and trending upwards. I think the judges overall, the feedback I'm getting about judges and event quality has been very positive. So those are the parts that I'm really happy about. The parts that I'm bummed about, and I'm just going to say it's just a coincidence that all of the pieces that Jonah touches directly are going fine.
Except for the
The piece,
graphics.
well, I think of the shared one, but the I would, if I was giving a letter grade for my hopes and dreams around a merch program, I'm thinking we're somewhere in the D minus range for that, and I've got a bunch of plans to make it better, but but it is so much harder than I had anticipated it being, and the world has become so much less stable than I anticipated. So that's an area that we're not doing as well. But overall, if I'm going to give the overall judge program a letter grade, I'd give it a B, a nice solid B. And if I was going to give Jonah's performance a grade, I'd say Jonah's done an A. So I'm very happy with Jonah, and I'm mostly happy with where the judge program is, and I'm super frustrated with my portions of it.
Yeah, I think that so like the numbers are we're at a significant percentage of scale of most of the well-established judge programs.
And
Like when you look at our numbers, we have I think close to 700, 800. I haven't checked recently. Level 1 or higher judges, which is no small feat for a year, given that programs that have been around for 4 or 5 years are slightly larger. Programs that have been around a lot longer, definitely much larger, but we have a very well established um, program with regards to numbers. With regards to events, I think, again, event quality has gone up. We see, I think, fewer threads and
yeah,
there are fewer
yeah.
incidents that are being brought to my attention as, hey, this thing has gone horribly wrong. And we're starting to
Which,
get stories of this judge at this event was spectacular.
which is not to say everything's perfect, right?
Right.
We're not Pollyannish, but there will always be problems. And right now, especially for a new game, especially for a game that's not, we intentionally set out to get a new cadre of judges. We were, it's fine if you've judged other games. That's not a problem. But we did not, like, there are judge programs that have gone out and deliberately tapped into pre-existing judge communities, and we didn't do that. We wanted a clean break and a fresh start. And so, under that context, it's going great. Sorry, keep going, Jonah.
Um, I think I just generally agree with your overall assessment that the program over the past year has been a solid B, all things considered. There are definitely a lot of things we could be doing better. Some of those things require more resources, bodies, time, that sort of thing. Um, in a year or
And
two, it's going to be much stronger again. If we look at the content that we released in our first year, it was something like 60 lessons, so averaging a lesson a week. If we release a new lesson or refurbish a lesson at that rate, and refurbishing lessons generally goes faster than creating it from scratch, the quality is just going to continue to go up, the quantity is going to continue to go up, and it's going to just become a stronger program over time.
And that is a nice segue into one of the questions of where are we at in terms of getting additional resources? And of course, I can't answer that to a huge degree. There that's just the nature of negotiations and confidentiality. But I'm feeling like anything else, I want things now, right? I don't want, actually, I don't want them now. I want them months ago, right? But having said that, Jonah and I just came back from Minnesota, right? From visiting FFG. And I believe I walked away again in every interaction I have with the publisher. They care about the judge program. They care desperately about event quality, and I'm optimistic that we're going to get to where I want to be. I would like it to happen faster. So if anybody from FFG is listening, I'm optimistic and I want it faster.
I'm going to tackle two questions real fast that have shortish answers. Tunico Berno says, is there a way right now to have promo supported meetups outside the scope of Tim and Jonah? What about the future? Right now, no. Future, it's something that we are discussing. One of the things that we've discussed back and forth several times is we want to have a strong infrastructure and be able to give folks an idea of what to expect from a meetup so that meetups have a minimum level of quality that we're comfortable with. We do want, one of the things that I believe we're failing, and I think, Tim, you agree with me, is getting promos into the hands of judges.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I want to open up a fire hose and spray for promos to people
without undermining things. But
okay, that might be a little strong. I promise. But I definitely want to give I want to be Santa Claus. How's that?
Yeah. And we
wait. Is that creepy? I want to. Yeah. Okay. Never mind. You keep going.
We do want to.
I busted Jonah up on the stream. That's great.
Our meeting offerings. However, part of what we need to do is make sure that there are members of the community who are trusted and invested in the community. Frankly, if we send somebody a bunch of promos, that's a whole lot of value. And we want the value that the judge program offers them to be higher than the value of those cards so that they do what we'd like them to do with those cards rather than things that we would not like them to do with those cards.
Specifically, we would like them to get into the hands of judges.
Yes.
And so
multiple judges, not a single judge.
Right. Yes. The best way to make somebody go away is loan them money, and then you never get to see them again.
Something that is associated with that is as we expand and as we are offering contractor roles and employment opportunities to people, that does give them a strong tie to us and an investment in the community. And we can, as we work with those people and understand their philosophies and see how they're working, we can have people from our team that we know well. The longer we spend in this community, the more we just know people in the community. It's a lot easier to trust somebody you've known for 2 or 3 years than somebody you've known for 2 or 3 weeks. Tim?
Actually, I got to jump back to the grades. There's one other thing I forgot to mention, which is I think we are doing a much, much better job serving folks in North America, particularly the United States and to some degree Canada. But I don't think we've done anywhere near what I would want to do for either Latin America, Europe, and we aren't even touching Asia really, right? And it's about where I expected to be at the same time. But I want to acknowledge that, and I want to acknowledge a general tendency I want to get better in those areas. Okay.
All right. There's some longer questions that have longer answers, and I'm going to save those because they tie into some things later on. So I want to have some shorter thoughts. Yes.
And wait, this one's important because it's a follow-up on the thing. I believe, let's just say that I am cautiously optimistic, right? So I believe but until a thing happens, I won't say it's fixed, right? But I believe that we have everything in place for sales of merch kits for folks in Europe. I think that's going to be good. There are there will there will always be problems until we're there will always be problems with Latin America until Latin America changes its import export laws. It's just going to be a thing.
Yeah. All right. W Lama P says, any thoughts on how the limited planetary qualifiers have gone? It seems like there's some concerns, especially with time. Limited is always going to take an extra 2 or 3 hours longer than a constructed event with the same number of rounds. And a lot of folks who are playing Star Wars Unlimited have never done competitive limited before and therefore aren't used to the registration or construction processes. Those are challenging, and we are jumping directly into massive events. I mean, even the smallest events are planetary qualifiers with 100 competitors, which are not small events. Those are, I'd call those generally like on the smaller side of a medium scale event, but those are still significant events. Problems will crop up. Players don't know how to deal with the issues. Judges, many of whom haven't had this experience before, don't have the reflexes.
It's just harder.
It's just so
it's
much
harder.
So while I was while we were at FFG, we had a lot of conversations about how limited registration occurs, and it was very fun for me to listen to people talk about how deck lists or deck registration sheets should be sorted, because there were about a dozen different opinions. There isn't one size fits all that suits everybody's sorting strategy, because some people want to sort, like, they're used to sorting pools into how they would build the deck, and so they break it down in certain ways of heroism cards, villainy cards, and then cards by color that don't have heroism and villainy. Others are breaking them into units and events. Very few people are doing alphabetical or by collector number, but those are naturally easier to sort by. If you're just like blanket putting things down on a list, you'll be able to figure out where things are associated. But nobody likes any sorting method other than their own, and there are 6 or 7 different sorting methods that I've heard suggested that all feel somewhat reasonable. I think that in time, the concerns regarding time will come down, and sealed events will get a little bit snappier. I'm very excited to see how Philly goes, because that's going to be 500 players registering sealed pools, and that's gonna be a thing.
And this is a tech that we know how to do. Okay. It is not like Jonah and I have not done sealed events before. And so, we're one of the things that I hope as a message that you guys and gals, by the way, and I apologize if I slighted when I said Spanish speaking, right? Because I understand Brazil is in fact Portuguese speaking, and I would love to solve our distribution problems to Portugal to Brazil by me flying there, because I've never been to Brazil and I very much want to go. So, but one of the things that's really important that you folks know is that the people at Fantasy Flight are really actively listening to Jonah carefully. They are taking his input extremely seriously, and they are building processes and recommendations around that. And one of the things that we were walking away, as we were walking, okay, we're driving away, but whatever. Jonah and I were talking, and I really want to emphasize the best way for you to impact what the processes, procedures, what policies are for organized play for Star Wars Unlimited is tell Jonah, convince Jonah that you're right about a thing, and then let Jonah and I, but mostly Jonah, to be frank, be your representative. And he can and does explain to folks at FFG just huge amount. He has a huge amount of input on policy. I'm not saying control, right? He doesn't get to steer the ship, but man, he gets to give
I
folks
get to
a
have
lot.
conversations.
He gets and recommendations, but more than that, right? I mean, they listen and change things based on what you say, and it happens every time we go there. It happens. It's not just every time we go there. It happens on a weekly basis. Jonah is helping to guide them in a way that I really like, and I think you guys should. I think you should use him as a resource.
Yeah. So, uh, W. Lima P has a question for policy for limited. What do you do if a verifier missed a card? Uh, the process there is after somebody's finished verification, they return to the player who opened it. That player then is given an amount of time to look at their pool, look at the checklist, make sure everything's correct. If they discover a discrepancy, they call for a judge, and you ask the person who verified the pool, who has no reason to grant this person extra cards or specific cards, if the error, like, what should be here? Like, did you see these 3 cards and did you just misregister it? Did you put this one down in a column where it shouldn't have been? Just check in and ask with the person who is still there for that portion of the event, whose job it was to verify the cards, and does not have an incentive to allow the other player to cheat. It's something that's not explicitly written out in policy because it's more of a logistics thing, and it is something that ideally everything is in a resource that you can read and review. There is so much knowledge with running events, the logistics, the soft skills, the philosophy. I'm working to get that into your hands as fast as I can, as much as I can. But a lot of it is going to come down to real practical experience and thinking about what makes sense here, and having conversations and being like, okay, what's the best practice? There isn't policy that covers this. Why isn't there policy that covers this? What's the actual advantage being gained? That sort of thing. And I hope that in the future, with more robust policy, those conversations are going to have a stronger framework to work from.
Yeah,
Alrighty.
what you said.
Another
Are we
question.
caught up?
No, not at all.
Crap.
I'm
Okay.
rolling back to some questions that were asked earlier from Tennessee Feet Monk. Is there an official feedback form that's planned to help shore up areas that may be lacking that we aren't aware of? The somewhat snarky answer is questions at CascadeGames.com, Tim at CascadeGames.com, and Jonah at CascadeGames.com. We could put together a feedback form, but I don't think that would see a ton of specific use, especially
And
when it's we want feedback on anything and everything. If you have an opinion, share it
literally,
with us.
yes, that doesn't mean I'm going to do everything you say, but I desperately want, like, Jonah and I both. It's hard because there's so many people in the world who engage in a BS exercise where they say they want your feedback, but they really don't. Well, we do. And I don't know how to assure you that we really do. Like, I don't want anybody to feel cynical about it, but we want it. I don't need a form. I need you to email me or talk to me at an event. Or even better, I mean, for if it's anything that's business related in any way whatsoever, you can bring it up with Jonah. That's fine. But I'm actually going to be the one who needs to know. And so direct communication is one of my values. So please let me know. Okay. If it's something about how tournaments are run, I do a lot of like high level direction of the program, but if it's something in the details, you need to talk to Jonah. I mean, you just do. I like it's wasted to talk to me when I'm just going to have to make sure I understand your point, and then talk to Jonah. But just email him, talk to him in the Discord, etc. We're small enough that we can be nimble and we don't need a form. Just talk.
Yeah, just shoot us emails. And if there is a thing that Tim and I disagree on or we're unsure how to proceed, there is a channel in the Discord where we will occasionally post specific surveys of how do people feel about this? How do people feel about this merch kit idea? How do people feel about this piece of like content or educational philosophy. Where should we be focusing when we have time to slow down and ask those sorts of questions?
But thankfully, actually, you and I don't disagree very often. It's actually
Not
pretty
terribly
cool.
often. But
No.
also sometimes we know that we don't understand we don't know everybody in the community. We don't know what the enfranchised people are looking for. We think we know, but we don't always.
Yeah, no, we're wrong about stuff. It happens, right?
Um,
So,
and there are certainly blind spots. Um, Tim and I have been in this business for a while. And so they're just things that we assume people know. Um,
and we're wrong sometimes. Actually,
yeah.
I'm probably wrong more often than Jonah because I'm not, I used to be doing, I was leading a team and we'd be doing six, seven, on a pre-release weekend, we'd be doing as many as 15 events over the course of a weekend. And I'm doing a couple events a year. So it's just, I'm more removed than I used to be.
Yeah. Anasti asks, do we get any specific policy on how to proceed when a minor has to be assigned to game loss or disqualification? Policy doesn't change. How you handle the individual might change. If you're disqualifying a minor, if they have a parent or guardian around, talking to them at some point in the process is probably valuable, but the parent doesn't get to veto your disqualification.
And just as a thing for judges, for the love of God, talk to your tournament organizer before you disqualify anybody. Just make sure that like it really really sucks from a TO point of view when somebody comes up to me and they are super hot ticked, right? I didn't use profanity on the stream yet, and that I know of. But you know, let I'm not saying you don't have the right to do that. You do. But let me know first. Let me know what's coming. Don't surprise me. Don't put me in the super awkward position where so tell me who it is, tell me what went wrong, tell me why you're doing what you're doing. So that way I don't, how when players are upset, sometimes their version of the story leaves out an important detail or two, like, I forgot to mention they caught me cheating or whatever, right? And so having somebody come up to me and tell me a story about what happened when they're super mad when I don't have the context is incredibly awkward. So please don't make me look bad. Please don't do things just at random.
Alrighty. Scrolling back up. Uh, I'm saving this one because it allows us to tie into something. Cascade 2244 asks, is there a plan or timeline for level 3? And Tennessee Feet Monks says, beat me, indicating that they also want to know the answer to that. So should we move into our first planned portion of this broadcast, 43 minutes
I
into
don't
it?
know. It hasn't been quite 45 minutes before we got to the point. So I don't know. Yes, please.
Alrighty.
Are you even going to show the slide?
Yeah,
That
we're
would be
gonna
great.
cut that over. We're gonna talk about our roadmap. We're not gonna talk
Am I
about.
gonna see the roadmap too as we're doing this, or
No,
will
you're
I see it
not.
on? So I just have to remember it. Okay,
Yeah, that's why I pulled up my text version of it so I can see it. But
and
let's
you are smarter than me. I should have done that.
let's start with uh, what we're looking at for the roadmap. So this is the short term and in 2026. Short term, um, October, we're gonna have ambassador level 1. What does that mean? We'll get to it. Um, the exam is going to be coming out pretty shortly thereafter. Certification. Early November, we're going to have the Secrets of Power update lessons for rules and policy. And then in December, we're going to be launching our scorekeeper certification. Um, so that's the next 3 months. That's a lot of work that I'm going to be churning out over the next 3 months while I'm traveling across the continent and over the ocean back and forth. In 2026, we're planning on level 3 judge, level 2 ambassador, level 2 scorekeeper. In roughly that order, depending on our needs and what we're producing, depending on where we scale the team to and what people are working on, their specialties, that might change. I'm anticipating level 3 content begins in Q1, so the first 3 months of the year. And the exam is no later than June, hopefully earlier than that. Level 2 ambassador and scorekeeper, I'm not sure on the exact timelines. And pretty much everything other than October, November, December of this year has some amount of flexibility to it. And the further we get away from today, the much more tentative it gets. Just because we don't know what the needs of the program are going to be. We don't know exactly what resources we'll have on hand. So we're looking at level 3 early next year, as well as ambassador leveling up and scorekeeper leveling up.
So, 2 things. One, in reply to the comments, I can't load it up on my phone because I'm looking at the comments on my phone. But also, Joan, is this a good time for me to start talking about the ambassador program?
Let's keep on. I want to hit the long-term roadmap and our perpetual goals, and then we'll turn into that. So,
okay.
2027 and beyond, this is where it gets really hypothetical. This isn't in 2027, but earliest that you'll be seeing these things, we anticipate, is level 4 and 5 judge levels in 2027. I don't anticipate either of them in 2026. There's a very high likelihood that a requirement for level 4 will be minimum 6 to 12 months at level 3, getting experience at that level, and similarly 6 to 12 months experience at level 4 for level 5. That practical experience is so incredibly valuable at any level of experience, and so rushing them out and being like, hey, so it's available the same day level 3 is, you're not going to be able to take it until you've been a level 3 for a year. We don't need to rush the content when the requirements are going to have some sort of time gate on them. We're also working on level 3 scorekeeper for that time period, which is essentially scorekeeper master can do any event anywhere in the world. We're hoping to work on training and education for stores and organizers, and then workshop and training scripts. I would love to see this bumped up to 2026, but that is essentially creating tools that we can give to other people so that they can run workshops and host meetups and that sort of thing. And then, of course, there are our perpetual goals, things that we want to be doing every day, every week, every year. That's going to be updates and overhauls to Nexus and the lessons, just making it look better, adding like card hover images in the text of the lesson so that you don't have to like search up every single weird card that I pulled out because I need Saw Gerrera because it's the only card that has an additional cost and nobody plays with Saw Gerrera, but I'm going to reference him anyways because he's the one card that does the thing that I need to talk about. Making it look prettier just so it feels a little bit nicer. Updating lessons as rules and policy changes continue to roll out, updating them as new cards are released so that we can just keep things fresh and up to date. Continue to roll out merch kits because, well, we care about merch kits. It's a way to get cool stuff into your hands and help support the program long term. Continue to run meetups and develop our meetups so that they get better and stronger. Continue our online lesson reviews, our monthly Q&A broadcasts, these streams here. We'd love to see our team expand and expand our offerings. And then one of the things that I'd like to start doing a little bit more regularly is roadmap updates, at least quarterly, every 3 months or so, letting you know where we are now, what our goals are, what we're moving towards, and what we have done in the past few months.
Jonah, that was a lot.
That was a lot, but that's several years worth of stuff. So, you want to talk about the ambassador program? Let's just switch back to our faces.
We should answer the question, is there any value in adding a demo or elective?
You want to talk about that for a bit?
Sure. And what our plan is, like we do for many things, I'm going to talk about it from a high level, and then Jonah's going to give you a certain amount of... So I'll talk about it on a high level, and then Jonah will give you the detailed picture, because that's what he does. So I love judge programs in part because what judge programs do is they give people a way to engage on a deeper level with the game, right? And it formalizes a role and gives people a thing to do, and and it's important. Like it's important not just for quality events, it's an important thing in people's lives, and gives them a way to act in a community. And I personally think this is super healthy, not just for the game, although it's essential for a game. It's also really important. It's important for people. Okay. And if you think about what are the formalized roles, okay, in our community, we have retailer slash tournament organizer, which I have hopes and dreams of doing things to help those folks, but we'll put that aside for a while because that was not specifically on the roadmap. We have judges, we have scorekeeper training, right? And and who knows? We'll see whether or not Jonah and I end up doing a little bit of training for folks who are players as well, because that's another role. But there are lots of other roles in the community, right? There's vendors, for instance, but there's more than that. And what we're going to do is try and create, we're not just going to try, we're going to succeed. We are creating and we're launching, I guess we're announcing the launch right now of that a new level system that I've always wanted to do. Um, for I mean, I would like this to be a thing for every game, frankly. But and that's an ambassador, okay? And the ambassador is a mix of a person who is trained knowing how to do demos, hopefully really high quality demos, right? Because if you've ever sat through a really bad demo, it's so painful. It's so bad, right? I mean, Jonah, should I have not have said that? Yeah, bad
No, no,
demos are
we've all sat through a bad demo. I mean, not even like a formal demo, but we've all sat down with our friend who wants to teach us a game,
oh
and
god,
it's
I hate that.
painful.
Painful. I mean, that's why the internet was invented, right? That's why we have YouTube. Yeah, at least get a reasonable demo. But you know, how I think about it is, I go into a game store and there's always somebody there who wants to play whatever game they're into playing, right? I think that around the world, we have an opportunity to teach folks who may or may not be judges, right? And for me, my expectation is at least half the folks who decide to be ambassadors won't be judges. Although I think a lot of judges will choose to be ambassadors. But we'll see what happens. But I want to give people the tools so that they know how to do demos well. I also want to give them a little bit of information. I'm not going to try and teach you how to be a TO and run a multi-thousand person event, but I'd like to give you the skills, if you don't have it, on how to schedule, promote, run small events. Those My expectation is most of the time that won't happen in stores, but as segue back to what we were talking about before, we've already hit maximum capacity in many game stores, right? And there are lots and lots of places people play that having somebody become an ambassador for the game, a steward for the game, to shepherd the community would be really good. College campuses just leap out, absolutely. High schools are another place that makes sense. Um, Libraries are sometimes a really good venue as well. Uh, at some bars, particularly board game cafes, right? There's lots and lots of venues where play can happen, and sometimes the folks running those venues want to be a tournament organizer, but frequently they don't. And we want to try and help give you the tools so that you can know how to how to build that community. So, and I think of it, it'll be interesting to see what Jonah says, but I think of it as three parts of it. One is scheduling, running an event. Another piece is doing demos. And then another piece of it is just there's a lot of a TO's job, right? When we think, and actually, it's a lot of a judge's job too, is diplomacy, being a good steward of a community, knowing what to do when you encounter behavior that's really problematic, helping to redirect people. There's probably the most important piece is the people portion part of it.
I think a
So
way to talk about ambassadors is they are the foundations of a community. They
abs-
know how to run demos to bring people into the community. They know how to and are equipped to create fun events or help organize events, host them, advertise them, spread the word about them, either through the tournament organizer and store or creating their own thing, creating like beer leagues or stamp leagues, creating like a collegiate league, having events between stores, so interacting between stores that might not necessarily collaborate otherwise, and reinforcing that community and bring it together is something. And then some amount of being a content creator, teaching people like how can you stream a match? How do you record a match in a way that other people will want to watch it? And so when you run your showdown or when you have your like collegiate league finals at the end of the semester, record that match and get some commentary on it and create a presence that allows other people to access that community even if they're not able to get those events. And so it's not just about demoing, it's not just about running events, it's about creating community, gathering people around you. It's not necessarily going to have to be in person if you want to create content on how to create cool formats, if you want to experiment with that sort of thing. It's really all about bringing Star Wars Unlimited to people, bringing people to Star Wars Unlimited, and helping them stick together.
and the key parts are, by the way, the one person just said they're going to start up a group in their local coffee shop. Absolutely. That's the kind of thing we want to help facilitate where we can, right? Obviously, I can't manage that. This needs to be it's part of it is it's a test of an ambassador program because we need you to decide what you want to do for your own reasons, right? No one's going to direct you. No one's going to tell you what to do. We're going to try and give you tools. We're going to give you tools and techniques.
Best practices, resources.
Yes, but ultimately, and we're going to give you a place where you can share with us what worked and what didn't and why, so that a community can learn from it, right? So we're going to try and bring people together and share not just what do Tim and Jonah think are the best practices, but as you try what we say out, what we say is a best practice, as you try it out, and and undoubtedly our ideas will change and evolve over time. But the key part is it's you deciding you want to do this for your reasons and then going and doing what you want to do.
Yeah. I do want to. We're gonna tangent again, and by tangent I mean 180. Hit a question from
You want to go back to that one? I was looking at it too, thinking about that. Anyway,
from I'm not sure which one you're looking at, but from Tennessee Feet Monk. When will those levels be relevant? I.e., level 2 hasn't been a requirement for anything since there aren't enough. So there have been 2 event series. There's really only been one event series that has started since level 2 was finalized. When level 2 became available, the Legends of the Force planetary qualifiers had already begun, and so requiring a level 2 judge for those events would have been a non-starter, just because the first 2 or 3 weeks worth of events simply wouldn't have happened. My anticipation is that for Secrets of Power, level 2 will be required for head judge, but there were 0 when the Legends of the Force event started, so that's not a thing that we could have done. for these larger events, for sector and regional qualifiers, or sector qualifiers and regional championships, that's going to continue to trip me up forever. I think the staffing for those started late August, and at that point in time, there were 25 L2s globally. It's possible that it could have been a requirement for head judge or for like team leader leadership roles. Leadership roles aren't created equally across tournament organizers, so it's hard to say somebody who has Keystone from Star City Games is going to require the same level as team lead for OPE, because those are in fact two different sets of expectations, and saying that this is the requirement for both of them isn't reasonable. But my anticipation is Secrets of Power L2 head judge for planetary qualifiers should be a reasonable expectation at this point. I think we're close to 65, 70 L2s. And given another 2 or 3 months, we can absolutely get to the point where we have L2s for every planetary qualifier. But even right now, right now, it would mean every L2 has to do 2 planetary qualifiers, which isn't going to be feasible. So we need to keep an eye on what the numbers are. There's also another question.
Hold on. I want to just, but the quick version of it is we are expecting that requirement to be communicated, to be formalized and communicated soon. We believe, we've had conversations with FFG about this, and everybody seems to be on about the same page.
Yeah. Starkiller07700 asks, as we get higher levels and more high-level competitive events, can you comment on large organizations using their own employees for events that are not certified judges? So it depends on what role they're acting in, and it depends on what organizations. Some organizations have a little bit more flexibility because they have a stronger relationship with the publisher. If, for example, somebody from a tournament organizer who's been running TCG events for 30 years says, we're going to put the person who's been running events for 30 years for us and has run multiple 1,000+ player events in the past year as one of our tournament experts on this event, it's a lot harder to push back against that. However, the requirements for judges at events is going to be something that's going to be handled by FFG. It's going to be something that's going to be evaluated. We're going to be looking at events. Tournament I would need more specifics about the expectation. There are going to be a lot of tournament organizers who use their own staff for a lot of leadership positions at their events because they are primarily logistical positions or positions of philosophy that don't require specific game knowledge, and having somebody be the general manager at an event doesn't necessarily need judge levels.
And another piece of it is when I'm acting as a role as a tournament organizer, what I care about that day is the best quality event. I don't care about building, it's not that I wouldn't care at all when I have my TO hat on about building and leveling up the judges. I do. But my first priority is making sure the event goes as well as I can. And so I will always have a bias towards working with people that I know are good. And what Jonah and I need to do then is make sure that what we're doing is making sure the level system actually is a badge of competence, so that a TO can look at it and say, hey, that person's, if they have a level 3 or a level 4 or whatever, that we need to make sure that there aren't high-level judges who are disappointing for TOs. So that way TOs will increasingly be willing to be using the highest level judge they can.
Yeah. Let's head back to ambassadors, though.
Sure.
WP asks, for the ambassador role, do you envision it mostly as a personal growth learning thing, or will there be tangible benefits for having the certification, especially at higher levels?
We're going to start out by doing something very much like what we do for judges, which is certified ambassadors are are going to be able to purchase kits that other folks cannot get. Um, the in my perfect world, I would have infinite money and infinite resources, and you would the person, I forget who it was in the comment section, who said they're going to organize things at their local coffee shop. In my perfect world, I'd have an event finder that supported that. I'd be able to send them a support package of goodies for the event, and there'd be a ton of things I would be able to do. Most of those are either impractical to do on a global level, or are several years out. But what I do know how to do is create kits where there's more value in the kit than there is in where frankly it's cool stuff that other people can't get, right? And so we're going to start out with that.
Let's, on that topic, talk about the ambassador rollout. So the exact details of when things are becoming available.
Really, I thought you were going to use that as a segue to tell people about the first kit. But hey,
Well,
you do
that's
you.
part of this.
Okay, let's do it.
So the rollout is we're going to have 6 lessons on October 7th. That is 7 days from now. That's next Tuesday for those of you keeping track at home. We're just going to throw them all out there at once, just a barrage of lessons. The exam will be available 2 days later on October 9th. We're going to announce the first ambassador-only merch kit today, and we're going to show you what's in it. And it'll go on sale November 1st, and so you'll have an opportunity to take those lessons, take the exam well before the kit is available. So with previous kits, they've been available for a day or 2 days. You've had an opportunity to express your interest, and then we'd figure out who was able to get the kits. We'd send out those kits, and that was it. So like most kits were available only for a short period of time. For this, we are not going to be doing that. Once we have the kit up, we plan to have it up for a while, not days or weeks, but months, at least a year.
Months probably, because
at some point
we'll refresh the promos. For
instance. We'll update the promos. We'll change contents of it, update cards, that sort of thing. But you probably want to see what's
actually. I want to say one thing first too, which is, and we are, as Jonah said, updating the content, and we're very open to you folks' ideas about what should be in the content. So, one of the things we've talked about is, at what point would it be helpful to have a kit that had table numbers for folks who want to do a small event at their local college, right?
Yeah.
But keep going, Jonah.
Well, now I'm just going to cut to showing them what's in the kit.
Okay, I'm ready.
So, kit, as mentioned, is available November 1st to ambassadors. It's going to come with Intro Battle Hoth. It's going to come with a 2-player playmat with exclusive and unique art by Jason Engel.
There you go. I was hoping you were going to.
Yeah.
So Jason Engel is a fabulously talented illustrator, and I love what he did.
Yes, I really want to get this playmat. It just looks gorgeous. It just looks so pretty. No. Go ahead.
No. I'm super happy with what he did, and I think it's a really interesting way to show space on one side and ground on the other. So yes. I really like it.
This kit is also where you'll finally, after months of anticipation and asking me every other week, where you'll be able to get Pilot Luke and Pilot Vader Judge promos. Both of these are foil. And then there will be one additional promo from all of the other promos we've released, all the way from Avenger to Ahsoka, and anything in between. We have some questions on the material of the playmat. Do we know what material the playmat is, and will it have stitched edges?
I haven't actually had them printed, but because this is not a licensed piece of Lucas art, right? This is this is technically a Cascade Games creation. We can have them printed in country, both in the United States and in Europe to make. So we don't have all the supply chain issues, which I'm super happy about. And I don't know of so I'm hedging a little bit because I don't know if the playmats are going to have stitched edges or not. It's a 2-player playmat, and I assume the edges are going to be stitched. Don't know. The and the material. So Game Genic uses a natural latex rubber, and pretty much everybody else in the world uses a petroleum-based rubber, and these will be petroleum-based.
It also does come with a nice little banner just for, or a little bit of signage for running demos. We do really want this kit to be used in demos. One of the things that we'll be releasing along with the Ambassador Lessons. So Intro Battle Hoth does come with a structured game of turn by turn, action by action. Like totally fixed game until like resource turn 6 or 7, at which point they let you go off the rails a little bit. But we're going to be coming up with a little bit more of a scripted demo with some tools and resources. And so there's scripted gameplay, but we're going to have a scripted demo that's just going to be a fast-paced way to hook people into the game. We have thought a lot about how to run good demos. This script is going to be new and will evolve over time. It's not going to be perfect out of the gate. But one of the strengths of Star Wars and Star Wars Unlimited is that it is very narrative based, and so having a narrative based demo, having a story with the game is a way to quickly hook people. It allows you to jump around the game, and rather than go through the same step 7 times over the course of the game, teach that to folks, and just skip through and teach each part once rather than going over it over and over again. And so you can compress what is normally a 30-minute demo into 5 or 10 minutes, so that you can hook somebody quickly and then say, would you like to play a full game, if that's what they're interested in, or they might already have the knowledge that they need to go play a game without being walked through by a demoer.
Let me do the next question if I can. There was a person who there's a question in the queue of will I be able to get more than one kit?
Yes.
And the answer to that is day one you can order one kit, but we will have refreshes available, and we're still figuring out exactly what to put in a refresh kit and how to do that. And I want to actually, and I also want to jump back. We think we have a really good way to do demos, and and it turns out no matter how smart Jonah is, right, the vast number of you have more combined brain power than Jonah ever could have, right? That's just how math works.
I mean,
and so
I'm trying.
So what we want to have happen is we're gonna have Jonah and I, mostly Jonah, creating the demo classes, but within that framework, we really want you folks to give us feedback so that we can make this better and better. Jonah and I had a conversation just a couple of days ago, well, yesterday, where we were talking about how in a perfect world we would have tested and gone through many iterations to get everything right. And we just don't have the ability to do that. So instead, we're going to ask the community, hey, please not just looking for errors is a superficial way of thinking about it, but a much more interesting way is, how can we get this better?
Finding areas of improvement.
Areas of improvement. And there's always areas of improvement. And so we're going to ask you folks to ask Jonah, or to come up to tell Jonah of what are the better ways to do it.
Yep. I'm also going to tackle a couple questions. Some are going to be short, so we're going to start with those. And then we're going to go to the longer, more philosophical questions. So Mobius says it's confirmed neoprene, not paper. Yep. Not paper. It's going to be a nice...
Not paper.
Rubber and cloth.
Not paper. It's a giant mouse pad, guys. It's
yeah.
Two player mouse pad. You've seen this.
Yep.
You know,
Davilana P says Vader says foil, but Luke doesn't. I assume that's a typo. Sure is a typo. They're both foil. The third promo might be foil, might not be. If it's an Avenger, if it's a Snoke, non-foil. If it's a Ahsoka, Maul, foil.
It is random out of our collection so that we can get some of the earlier ones out to you folks. Yeah.
Yep. Headkin says, can you publish that script publicly? Yep. It'll be referenced in a couple of the lessons and be like, hey, here's, like, we're talking about how to create your own narrative demo in one of the lessons. Here is the one that we built. This is what we strongly recommend that you use for your own until you create your own narrative demos. That will be publicly available as part of the Ambassador launch.
However, if you want to experiment, because the 2-player Hoth kit is neat. It really is. I think you'll like those. However, you might, for whatever reason, prefer, you decide you want to teach people and you want to use clone troopers or whatever, right? You are free. Obviously, you're in charge of you put together whatever deck you want to teach people with, and we're recommending that you use a narrative structure, but within that context, tell us what works and what doesn't work, and then we'll share that with everybody.
Yeah. All right. 2 questions from Tennessee Feet Monk. First question is, how subjective are the Ambassador lessons and, by extension, the exam? For judge lessons, we have rules and policy that are relatively objective. Tim, you look like you want to say something.
No. I'm sorry.
Just yawning.
No, I didn't sleep enough last night. No, it's not that what you're saying is boring. It is that we've been at this an hour and 17 minutes, and I was up all night last night. But no, this is dear to my heart, and I'll start answering with, by necessity, Ambassador stuff is going to have a higher degree of subjectivity than the initial judge thinks. But I think you'll find as you get into higher level judging that the amount of subjectivity increases as well.
Yeah. A lot of what we're teaching people with the Ambassador program is conflict management, logistics, how to think about running events.
How to think about community as well.
And it is wholly subjective. It is it's what we think is correct through our experience. There's not a rule book that you're going to be able to read and find the answers.
And if you wanted to find a team of people to do this, having a super experienced high-level judge and a, again, relatively experienced tournament organizer who also has a master's degree in organizational psychology, right? I mean, we're not exactly rookies at this. However, games are changing, game community changes, and that's why we need your help. Okay, go.
So the exam is going to be focused on best practices and philosophical ideals, which is not necessarily, like, if you're coming from this of a perspective of black and white, yes or no, these are the rules, you do this, like, triggers work like triggers work, cards cost what they say as modified by the rules, and you want that very regimented structure, that's not how the Ambassador exam is going to be written. However, the initial exam for the Ambassador program is not intended to be particularly complex or challenging. It should be relatively straightforward. It'll talk in broad strokes about philosophy and not get too deep into the details. We want this to be an accessible program because the most important part of being a successful ambassador is wanting to grow your community. That might be a question on the exam. Do you want to grow your community? Yes or no? And if you say no, you fail.
But, actually, and let me just, one of the things that really struck me, and I remember this distinctly when I was in one of my counseling classes, where, was there's all kinds of complicated theories about how community works, how counseling works, et cetera, right? But if your theory set is so complicated, you can't actually apply it in the moment. the philosophy of what you're going to do, why you're going to do it, it needs to be yours rather than ours, right? You need to decide which parts you buy into, but it simply can't be too complex, or you won't be able to put it into action.
Yeah. Um, Another question, again from Tennessee Feet Monk, is being a certified judge a requirement to being an ambassador? So let's transition to talking about the advancement requirements for the ambassador program.
And most importantly, why, right?
Yes.
Because one of the things we debated and explored is, should that specific question, should it be an in a elective within a judge path, or should it be a freestanding one?
Yeah.
And I'll
And
let you talk
it
why.
will be freestanding. We don't believe, like, having rules and policy knowledge is going to be incredibly valuable to anybody who wants to build a community, to run events, to teach people the game. Because if you're running a demo and you get some weird cards in there by accident, somebody's going to ask how Chirrut works with whatever other card, with Force Lightning, or Crate Dragon, or Lurking Tie Phantom. And having that strong knowledge always going to be helpful. If you're running an event, if you're running like a college league and there's a question of how do these two cards interact, or hey, I made a pretty significant mistake, how do we fix it? There's, as it says in policy, if there isn't a judge at an event, the tournament organizer is considered the head judge. And so if you're organizing events and you don't have somebody who knows rules or policy there, that's going to be you. And so having that knowledge is helpful, but it's not a prerequisite.
And the other piece of it is, we're not thinking of this as replacing a replacement to TOs, right? This
No,
is
not at all.
yeah, I'm sorry, not at all is it that, right? And so that means this is not something that feeds into, that fuels competitive events, at least not directly, right? Some, if you demo for a person and then they decide they like it, maybe they play competitive eventually, but most of the play, and when I first saw the actual numbers coming back from the surveys, I always knew there was more casual than competitive play, but it's so overwhelming, right? The numbers are for casual play are immense compared to competitive play. So this is a so we're going to help train you to meet people where they actually are, and so the super competitive stuff isn't as relevant, and that means if you get a ruling wrong, you know well, then if you get it wrong one weekend and then you go and an ambassador then asks a judge and says, what should I have done at my local coffee shop in order to get the ruling right? There's an opportunity to learn, and no harm, no foul.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about the actual requirements. First, an endorsement from a verified tournament organizer or any level 1 or higher judge. This is, as mentioned, not a part of the judge program. It is, or not part of the judge levels system, but it's a part of our broader program. It's a parallel structure. Um, and we just want to know that you're a real person and that you're not a jerk and that you'll be good for your community. And that's what this endorsement is for.
And we specifically want to tap into the cadre of judges we have now, because
You
we
know
want to
people.
be, people, and people who will be a good choice for this. And so yeah, this isn't, please, for the love of God, this is not because I'm now having nightmares of these visualizations of people being like, yeah, your rules knowledge isn't good enough. It's all about the people skills, really.
Yeah. Um, this endorsement uh, is for the ambassador role. If you already have a level 1 endorsement, that's going to automatically qualify you for the
You're all
ambassador.
good.
You don't need to get
You're
another
fine.
one. Um, However, the ambassador endorsement does not also qualify as an L1 endorsement. So L1 endorsement counts for ambassador. Ambassador endorsement does not count for level 1. Um, uh, DeCaniel asks, I'm a heavily traveling person. Is ambassador geared towards local communities, or traveling boosters can be a good idea? Um, we thought, like, the initial idea is a lot of local play. But it is really forging a community. And so if you are able to develop a community on the fly or create an online community where, let's say your favorite character is IG88, and you just want to make a community of people who are playing IG88 in every format as much as they can everywhere, and it's just about sharing your record with that character, you can create a community on the go. And whenever you show up to, like, if you travel from LGS to LGS, from state to state or country to country, just be like, hey, IG88 just took down a weekly play in Germany. IG88 is now winning in France. IG88 just took over Texas. IG88 up in Canada. And you can build a community around that and be an IG88 ambassador, and a traveling ambassador. So while I hadn't been thinking initially of the traveling ambassador role, that is absolutely something that could work.
And the key thing is, this is less structured than judging, right?
Much
less, right? I think it's good manners to ask the store that you want to hang out to, you want to hang out and teach people how to play. I think it's good manners to ask first before you set up a little sign. But we're not telling you must do this in any particular environment. You do you. And what we really want, I think maybe I'm beating this drum too much, but please figure out what works for you and then share it with us, and then we'll share it with everybody.
Go ahead, Jonathan. An idea that I really want somebody to do. It might be me, but I encourage you all to do it, which is just have your demo kit in your bag, and when you're in an airport, just set that up while you have an hour to wait for your flight. Put up the little sign that says, hey, I'm teaching Star Wars Unlimited, want to learn a card game? I am confident that if you set that up, like, at a table at a flight that's delayed for a half hour, an hour, somebody will come by and be like, I like Star Wars, what is this? And
what
you'll
is
be
this
able
thing?
To make a friend. Right, so we've talked about the endorsement. The other part of it is, I'm calling it community.
But you just had somebody say challenge accepted, which I love.
Fantastic.
That's awesome. And then tell us
about it. Like, and as Mobius says, I smell a YouTube series. Absolutely. Like, just, if you can, like, if you want to, just record a quick little 30-second video with the person that you taught in O'Hare and then the person you taught in McCarran, although it's not called McCarran anymore. I can't remember what it is. Anyways, put together a compilation of all the random people that you teach the game to. Make that a video, and you can build a community and network that way.
And can I spoil the thing that we're going to do?
Sure. What thing?
Yeah. What thing? We're going to do little raffles and stuff. So actually, why don't you talk about it?
So we don't have any details hammered out exactly yet. But gamers are going to game, and we want to give you a system to play with. We want to encourage you to, like, tell us about the events you're running. And so we want to build a tool that allows you to track the number of demos you run, the number of people that you've taught the game to. And then we'll look at the numbers, and if somebody's taught the game to a lot of people, maybe we give them something nice for doing that.
Or maybe we'll just do it randomly, the key part.
If there's an exceptional piece of content that we're like, this is incredible and needs to be recognized, we can signal boost content. We can throw goodies at people who are doing exceptional things. And
the key parts are, I got to put on my legal hat for a second here. And by the way, I agree. Can I spoil a thing and then making Jonah do this? but we will never pay you to do this thing. Okay. This is not, I'm not your employer. I'm never going to be your employer. You may or may not be able to get a local store to pay you to do demos at the store. Maybe. I don't know. You should talk to them. But first get good at it. Do it a bunch of times. Yeah. Don't try and get paid until you're good at it. But, we So we're never going to turn into your employer. We're not going to give you cards as compensation, but we do want to find people doing cool things and recognize them with public recognition. And occasionally, you know, I
Celebrate
like
them.
the I like the idea of, yeah, celebrate them. And in our community, one way to have a party and celebrate is give folks some promos.
Yeah. And that's something that I'm excited to do as well. Um, but the community ideals, this name isn't finalized. I like it more than some of the other ones we've talked about before. Mission statement is a term that
Fine.
we hate.
Wait, I got to
Uh,
say, I'm getting hooked in the stupid chat
yeah,
today.
I
But
know. I know.
yes, I've been your employer for some of you, and I will do it again in a couple weeks.
Yeah, like
But not
yes.
for being an ambassador.
Yesterday I was talking with some folks, and they're like, "Yes, boss." I'm like, "I'm not your boss. Tim wants me to make it clear that I'm not your boss." They're like, "I am one of the translators. You are in fact my boss."
Hey, have we announced the translator thing yet? Have
Um,
we told them we hired people?
I don't think so. We have
We
hired people.
probably
We've
we
hired.
probably should tell everybody
Yeah,
that before we run out of time and everybody abandons us.
I mean, we can talk forever. These people like listening to us talk, go on tangents. But yeah, we have our translators. They're hard at work translating the questions. One of the first questions they asked me was, "Hey, can we fix all the typos we find in addition to translating into another language?" I'm like, "Yes, please let me know. You can
I,
fix
I didn't know, but that's super funny.
add the commas, add the periods, capitalize things correctly. And so you might notice that the grammar has improved. But we also have a graphic
Graphic
designer.
designer.
Our friend Scott Fainsey is doing some graphics. These graphics that we've been running today were not done by me. They were done by somebody who knows what they're doing, which is fantastic. But, right, back on topic, requirements for ambassador, because there's an important one that we haven't talked about yet, which is, as we initially called it a mission statement. We hate that term. I like community ideals, um, because that is what it is. It is you talking about your ideal community, what you want to see out of this ambassador program, what return you want to see. It doesn't need to
For
be.
you, not for us, right?
Yes, yeah. It is what you want to see for yourself, for your community, for your friends, for the people around you, for the game as a whole. Is it, I just want to teach, like, I want to teach a couple people at my local game store and I want to be good at that, or I want to go on the road, teach people, I want to become a content creator. It is not, it's labeled in the advancement requirements that you just saw up on screen as a self review. That's because it's the easiest way to write something that is associated with yourself. It's not a review about yourself. It's, this is kind of what I want to do. This is what I think is important to my community. This is what I want. This is what I want to share. I want to focus on creating cool new formats. I want to focus on running events at my school. I want to focus on getting one new player every week at my LGS until we have 100 players. Whatever it is you want to do, we want you to have an idea of what you want to do as an ambassador. We think that if you spend 5 minutes thinking about it, or maybe longer, I know that if it were me, and it will be me, I'm going to spend a half hour over the course of several showers and several nights trying to go to sleep thinking about what I want to do as an ambassador. But if you spend some time thinking about it, you're more likely to do it rather than being like, oh, look, a thing that'll get me some promos. If you think about it, you're more likely to do it.
So, and this isn't a test, right? It's not. I mean, I guess there are a couple wrong answers, right? I want to be an ambassador to, you know, kill children or something, right?
That is not a good answer, no.
That is not. There are some wrong answers. I can't tell you there are no wrong answers, but the as somebody in chat said earlier, right? It needs to it is inherently less structured, and that's just and so we wanted to create some kind of threshold where we ask people how are they going to structure their own participation. So it's not meant to be hard. It doesn't need to be an essay. You know, a paragraph is fine, right? But What are you trying to do? What do you want to do with your ambassador program?
Right. That's really all it is. What do you want to do? And it could just be, I want to run some demos. I think the playmat is cool, and I want to teach people how to play the game. Like I have a friend that I want to teach the game to. Is an answer. You're an ambassador for the game if you teach one person, if you get one person excited, if you get one person just a little bit more engaged, that is ambassadoring. Tennessee Feet Monk says, is there required attire when you are ambassadoring? Nope, absolutely not. I think clothed is probably correct, but
Probably.
you're doing, like, we're not telling you what to do. As part of, we're giving you best practices. Yes, we'll make recommendations. But, I mean, the way you act as ambassador might be recording a podcast in the comfort of your own home with no camera on. So that's up to you. Let's see. There's another question up above. Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. Keep going. I got to.
Did you get sniped by chat?
I did. Sorry. Keep going.
Yeah. And then the last requirement. So endorsement, your community goals, what you want to do with the program, and then pass the exam, which, as we mentioned, is trying to make things. The goal of the exam is to not be an insurmountable burden. It's just, do you have some idea of how to support a community? How do you run a demo? That sort of thing. We're going to try and, I think the idea there is going to be rule out bad answers more than say this is the one way to do it. But as we were saying 30 seconds ago, there are some wrong answers, and we just want to make sure that you don't get the wrong answers. The way you run a demo isn't slapping players whenever they do something incorrect. That is an incorrect way to run a demo. And we want to make sure that you don't think that that is a correct way to run a demo. But we don't want the exam to be a particularly challenging exam. Okay, from DeCaniel, serious question. This is tangent time. And I think we're just about wrapping up. I think the only thing left on my schedule is to discuss our upcoming meetup schedule. So if folks have last minute questions, throw those in. We'll get to the meetup schedule. But where was it? DeCaniel. Oh, serious question. Can you share a quick update on the content creators and specialist role? Yes. So, as mentioned, we have hired a graphic designer, which is part of the content creator role. We have decided to split the content creator role into graphic designer and video producer. We're getting into both busy season for me, and Tim and I need to have some conversations before we move forward with the video producer. We've done initial interviews on the video producer, but are not ready to move forward with that at this time. And subject matter expert is something that we want to do. There were about 10 or so applicants for the video producer role. There's a lot more for the subject matter expert role. A lot of you know your subject really good. And so that one's going to take some time.
It's a little overwhelming.
And we need to be able to dedicate time to it. And with the ambassador program rollout and my travel schedule, that's probably going to get pushed down the line a little bit. We'll make sure to make updates into Discord, send emails to all of our applicants as we go forward. Anything you want to add on that front?
I'm actually kind of proud that what happened was we started interviewing people and we learned in the middle of doing it, right? So what we did in the middle of interviewing, I did interviews and I'm like, oh my gosh, there are people who are applying for this position who have completely different skill sets that they just don't overlap, right? And one thing was, and for me, I think in many ways having somebody who's a video producer it might even be more important. But making the website not look like, okay, I can't say that word. I guess I can, but making sure, making the website look better. I'm personally embarrassed by the website, and so I want to make it look better now. Getting a video producer to help because I know our videos aren't pretty, but man, the content's great. And so that's a slightly lower priority for me. And if I could get the other roles filled now, I probably would. But with Jonah traveling all over the country, all over the world, we're just not going to be able to bring somebody on board right now.
Not in October.
So it's going to be not in October, but give it a month, and we should be able. And Jonah and I have. I don't know if this is wise or not, but it's very different than how other people do interviews. When generally what you do with interviews is you get a bunch of resumes in or applications or whatever, and you go no, 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 no. You refine it down to 5 people or whatever, and those are the folks you interview. Jonah and I understand that some people are better at expressing themselves in writing than other people are. Resumes are hard, and so we really want to talk to everybody who's applied to give everybody a fair shot. And that's particularly true when we're working across languages, right? So we're gonna give everybody an interview, but that means we've got like, Jonah, how many applicants? It's like 50, right?
That's the number you've told me. Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And at 10 minutes for an initial interview for each of them, that's the better part of a week of work for me. I didn't do the math. That might not even be close to a week of work. It's still a lot.
And and the question is it going to be one person for the video producer? Yes, I understand that we could hire multiple video producers, and we could absolutely go crazy with this. And I would like to do that, but I just won't have the funds for multiple video producers.
Yeah. And as part of it, like as we're expanding, it's also expanding my responsibilities. I'm managing more and more people directly these days, and having more people that I'm managing. Right now, I also don't know if we just have enough work for multiple video producers. We have those 60 videos,
but you know what? It's video production is one of those things that expands.
It expands to fill the volume, yeah.
So we could go crazy with creating videos.
We could, but then I'd be overwhelmed and stop producing content because all I'm doing is managing the production of videos. So there needs to be a balance.
So one person for that, one person for graphic design, an army. Oh, did we tell them that we hired 2 people for each of the translator roles?
Yeah,
I don't think we did.
We have 2 people for each language. And the way it's structured, because y'all are people who like the technical details of things. I'm going to assume because you're here. But the way it works is each person is going to be assigned an exam, so that we can be sure that an exam at the very least is translated consistently. And the translators are going to look at each other's works to make sure that they are using language consistently, particularly for particular tech terms across exams, so that if you go from the apprentice exam to the L1 exam to the L2 exam, the words stay the same. That's something that is very important. The lessons, we've talked about how to use, whether or not to use localized language for various terms. The question, do people in other countries speaking in other languages, do they use the term active player, non-active player, or do they use the localized versions of those? Because many people playing TCGs, even when speaking in their native language, will use some mechanical terms just because it is the easiest thing to refer to. And so our translators it is not just a one-to-one run it through Google Translate and like, it means this word. No, what do people actually use in the language so that it comes naturally to somebody who's taking the exam? Fantastic. I'm not seeing any more questions, so let's talk.
I am so tired, but let's give them a second to ask anything else.
And while they do that, I'm just going to bring up the meetup schedule.
Acefire RM, did I miss the subject matter expert talk? Quick punch. The TLDR is we're putting it back. We're delaying that for a little while due to travel and getting other folks up to speed.
Yeah, that's going to happen after the video producer, almost certainly. Video producer isn't happening until November at the earliest. I hope to get it done early mid November. I think that should be doable. But I will also be traveling between now and then a lot and going to some meetups, which are now on your screen. I'm pretty sure the dates are right. I might have made a typo. First one is in just a few days, Portland, Oregon, October 3rd, 4 p.m. at the Hilton downtown in Portland. That's the venue. We're going to meet in the venue for about an hour. It's going to be me and your friendly Tim Shields. We're going to take your question, give you some answers. It's going to be a lot like this, except in person, and so you can see us go on tangents. Live and in color, yeah.
Food carts are about 4 blocks from there, by the way.
Oh, fantastic.
Maybe.
Following that up, 7 days later in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, October 10th, 4 p.m. at the Pennsylvania Convention Center Terrace Ballroom. Again, it's the venue for the sector qualifier in the city that weekend, the day before those events start. It's going to be another meetup, just me that time. Then 2 weeks later in Essen, Germany, October 24th, 25th, and 26th. Essenspiel is occurring from the 23rd to the 26th. I arrive very early on the 24th. I'm not currently scheduled to work any particular booth or part of the show, which means I'm going to have availability and energy each day. And so my dream is to run 3 different meetups, ideally a handful of people at a time. So rather than getting a group of 20, 30, or 40, I get groups of 5 or 10. And just have dinner with folks at a nearby location on each of those 3 days, and have the opportunity to just chat and get to know people a little bit better. And finally, in Munich, Germany on October 31st, tentatively at 5 p.m. at Icebox Studios. I do need to confirm that with the tournament organizer before I lock that in, but that is a month away, and so we should have time to lock in the details on that. Both Essen and Munich are not 100% locked in, as I'm not as familiar with those venues.
But so I'll be at Portland, and then Jonah will not be joining us for TwitchCon because he doesn't love me enough. But we'll meet in the lobby area of the Marriott Marquis on Friday night. I'll figure out what time exactly soon, but it will be in the Marriott that's right next to the convention center.
And I will throw some details into the Discord for that meetup as well and keep folks posted on that. With all that being said, I'm not seeing any more questions.
Going once, going twice. Hey, everybody, thank you so much.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
As always, thank you. We're not going to be doing a Q&A tomorrow. Not tomorrow, next week, Tuesday, because we've done our monthly Q&A this time, and we'll be launching the ambassador program. We'll have some other things to work on. The following day on Wednesday, I'll probably do a stream just to go over those lessons before the exam goes live on Thursday the 9th. With that, thank you so much, and we'll see you at the next one.